FYE Finance Family. I miss y'all. Welcome back. It's season 2 of Flip It with Samara, right? The power of tax planning. So I know you noticed that subtitle. We've been advertising that this week. And so that just gives you a tidbit, insight on the direction that the show is going to be going into, right? I've always shared with you a little bit of like tax planning strategies and tips, but we're going to do a deeper dive into the education of tax planning and all the benefits that it entails. And so, right, today we're going to do something a little different. So, again, Flip It. It's a show to flip the narrative on how we view and use finances in our personal and business settings. I do want to make sure that we are engaged. I know I got 3 people watching so far. So come on in the room, as they say. Definitely tag somebody, share this, because we're going to get a little vulnerable tonight. Y'all are going to see a different side of me tonight. I'm going to share some things that I haven't been forthcoming with in the past, but I want to empower my audience. I want to empower my FYE Finance family. And so I want to create a safe place where I can share these things with you all. So if you are in the chat, make sure that you say hello. I want to see who is watching with us, right? And again, tag somebody, share this, because wisdom is the word of the month. And so I want to set the tone on what you can expect throughout the month. We're going to have different guests on that are going to share their wisdom journey with you. And we're going to talk about a new term, a term that I haven't coined. I can't take the credit for coining this term, but it's definitely a term that I am using and I'm going to continue to say, and that is your wisdom compass, right? When you hear the term compass and you hear the term wisdom, I'm sure that there are 2 definitions that come to mind. We're going to put those definitions together and we're going to share with you how I personally have used my wisdom compass to navigate through my journey of entrepreneurship. Okay, so again, gonna be a little different because I'm talking about my failures, y'all. I'm gonna get real ugly. It's gonna be really ugly, but I promise you, there's beauty, right? After the storm, right? So God gives us beauty for our ashes. Hey Regina, thank you for joining. Thank you for showing up in the chat. I appreciate you, love. All right, so wisdom, the month of the word of the month, right? Is having an experience or knowledge or good judgment, right? It's the quality of being wise. And so usually you hear people say, hey, you get wisdom with age, right? Because people that are older, right, they have more experience, they have experienced more, right? So it's the quality of being wise. And then when you think about the word compass, it is an instrument that is used to show you a direction. Okay. So when you put those 2 things together, wisdom and compass, then what you get is using your experiences and your knowledge to direct your path or direct you along your journey, right? Whether that's a financial journey or it's a journey in your entrepreneurship or it's a life journey. Hello, Angelica. Thank you for joining, beautiful. But when you put those 2 things together, hey, Casey. I'm so excited to have y'all back on Sorry. So I know I'm supposed to like go with the flow, but I'm super excited to be back. So I'm going to say hello to every last one of y'all. So thank y'all so much for joining. So when you put those 2 things together, right? Wisdom and compass, that's what you're doing. You're using your wisdom compass in order to rely on those experiences, that knowledge that you have gained to help direct your path along your journey, right? So sometimes what we have learned as entrepreneurs is that doesn't look pretty, right? It could look very ugly at first, for sure. At least that has been my experience. And I haven't been forthcoming with you all. Like I noticed that, I've shared with you all the strategies and the tips and like how to win. Hello, Monique. But I haven't shared with you all like the ugliness, the failures, the setbacks, the pitfalls, the struggles. And so I want to share that with you because I feel like when you share that, you empower people who are going to listen, right? Because there's something that they can absolutely gain from it and learn from it. So we're going to talk about that tonight. So it's going to be a little different, y'all, but rock with me. We're going to get to the beautiful part at the end. But for now, we're going to talk about those failures, right? So when you think of the term failure, right, nobody wants to be a failure. Nobody wants to fail. But I honestly think, or I should say, I have honestly learned that failure is going to happen, right? Especially if this is your first time doing something, and we've all have done something for our first time in some stage of our lives, and more than likely, you probably didn't do it the right way the first time, and you failed, okay? But failure is an option, right? Failure is okay. It's how you utilize that failure that makes the difference, right? Just because you've fallen doesn't mean you have to stay down. Yeah, get back up, right? And so there were some failures that I made very early on in my business. And I'm going to be very transparent with y'all, and I am going to share with you those failures. And just so that I know, thank you, Terrence, failure is inevitable. Okay. Just so that I know that I'm not alone, I want y'all to share with me some of your failures too, if you're okay with that. All right. Again, we're just all being vulnerable. This is a safe space that we're creating. This is how we empower each other. This is how we grow and learn together. All right. This is how we use our wisdom compass for good. So, talking about the failures that I made early on, and I'm telling you this because I don't want you to make the same failure. And although I'm in the field of accounting and finance and tax, the failures that I'm going to be talking about probably are applicable to any small business owner. I'm sure that you've struggled or failed in this area, right? So pay attention, listen. Hopefully, this helps you. So the first failure that I encountered was pricing, right? I'm gonna tell y'all what I used to do, and y'all are gonna laugh at me and say, "Girl, you were never gonna win like that." But I didn't know. So I failed. So what I used to do was I would have a consultation with a client, and because I pride myself on tailoring every single package for a client, only giving them exactly what they need, none of what they didn't, I would approach it as you would do a consultation, a free consultation. So you get 30 minutes of my time. We talk through all of your pain points. And then I talk through my solutions. And then the client would say, okay, so how much is that going to cost me? And let me tell you what my smart self did. I said, you know what? I'm going to work up a tailored plan for you, and I will get back with you on that price, and I will outline everything that's going to be included in that package. And how y'all think that worked out for me? Y'all put it in the comment. Let me know how you think that worked out for me, right? So when that would happen, what what would happen is that I didn't close the deal, right? When you only have a small window to close deals, right? A person usually knows whether they want to work with you or not within the first 5 minutes of talking to you. They already know. They've already made up their mind, right? And so it's up to you to make a good first impression or to bomb. And what I was doing was I was bombing because of my pricing, right? Because I was taking that approach of, oh, no, I want to tailor everything and I want to make sure. But I thought that it was translating as, hey, I want to make sure that the client is getting the full benefit. I want to make sure that the client is only paying for what they want. But what the client received when I would do that is she's unprepared. She is not organized. And if she is unprepared and she's not organized in this aspect, you think I'm going to let her touch my books? I ain't let her touch my books. If she doesn't even have a pricing structure in place, what makes you think that she's going to have a structure in place to manage my finances? That's what it translated into. And so I kept failing. I kept failing until I changed that model, right? I changed that approach. and I don't want you to fail. So that's why I'm sharing that with you. Y'all, that was so ugly. And there are some clients in the chat, okay? So if you met me when I was using that model, thank you so much, okay, for sticking with me and trusting me. And I know that you are happy now. But again, that was a huge failure on my part. So is anybody else sharing the failures? Let's see. I saw some pricing things. Angelica said, Lord Jesus, that would drive you crazy. Yes. Terrence says it didn't go over too well. Yes, Terrence, it didn't go over too well. Regina says she struggled with pricing too. Monica, Monique says she also struggled with pricing. See, I'm telling you, this is something that I know every entrepreneur struggles with, but I'm telling you, come to the table with a pricing package already put together. Monique, what I had to do was I had to develop 3 packages. That's all you get, right? This ain't Burger King. You can't have it your way. So you give them a menu. I'm doing a la carte. You give them a menu. Put your menu together. I had 3 options on my menu. And then I added a fourth option because of conversations that I started having with clients. And so I have now those 4 options. And so clients have the ability to see through conversation which option better aligns with their needs and their budget, right? Because that's what all entrepreneurs are focusing on. Like, let's be honest. Like, when I'm looking for a new vendor, I'm like, okay, what do I get? How much is it? That's it, right? So definitely put together um, 3, 4 options, Monique, at the most, and then hopefully that helps you with your pricing struggle too. So see me talk about my failures already helping. Yes, I love it. Okay, so then the other failure that I had was standard operating procedures, SOPs, no plan. Okay, so let's call it what it is. I had no plan. I was doing, the bookkeeping, I was doing the accounting, doing the taxes, but I had no outline that someone else could pick up and do the same job, right? I was not setting myself up to replicate or to duplicate, I should say, little Samaras. Okay. And so it's important that you do that because essentially you want your business to grow. You don't want to be the one who is working 10, 12 hours a day to keep your business going. Yes, you may have to do that at first. Absolutely. But you don't want to be like, you don't want that to be your life, because if that's your goal, then what was the purpose of you starting your business for yourself, right? Usually people that start their own business, they say, hey, I want to be my own employer. I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to be able to manage my time better, right? I want more time, right? I want the liberties to take a day off in the middle of the week if I have to, right? Terrence says, oh, you need those SOPs. Right, Terrence, right. Um, so that's why you need those SOPs, right? So that you can bring on help and it not jeopardize your quality, right? Because your quality is so important as a business owner, small business owner. I'm going off track. Quality, consistency is key, all right? Be consistent and give good quality, all right? That's key. You're welcome for that tip, Monique. So definitely understand that SOPs help you grow. It helps you scale. Wayne says, when you learn and grow from your failures, they are no longer failures, but they are valuable lessons. That's true. No losses, only lessons. So SOPs are definitely key. And because I didn't have SOPs, guess what, y'all? I missed out on money. I'm not gonna lie, I missed out on closing deals. I missed out on making connections. I missed out on partnerships. People don't want to partner with you. People don't want to connect with you. They don't want to collab with you if they don't see that you're structured. And because I didn't have the bandwidth to take on more clients, because I was trying to do everything myself because I didn't have SOPs, I didn't have a growth plan. Then there was a lot of opportunities that I missed out on. And I don't want that to be your failure. I want you to learn from it. So put in the work early on, right? Create that pricing structure, create those SOPs early on so that when you do start scaling, because let me tell you, all businesses scale different, right? There are some businesses and you may scale little at a time, little at a time. And then there are some businesses that are very cyclical. So you're up, then you're down, and you're up, then you're down, and it's a fast scale, right? And so when that happens, you want to make sure that you have things in place so that you can effectively continue to scale, right? And handle everything on your plate and be able to close those deals, to make those connections, keep those partnerships going. You don't want your quality to be affected at all. All right. So have those SOPs. I'm telling y'all, I failed. Okay. And so Angelica says, no, video SOPs help if the potential employees who are visual learners. Angelica, yes, honey, preach. Because not only should you do video stuff, but like even in my SOPs, if it's all written, I do screenshots because I'm a visual learner. So I always approach it from the aspect of, what would help me? Okay, so if this would help me, then it probably would help somebody else too. So yes, use that visual component in order to seal the deal. All right. Terrence says SOPs and a system is what ends up selling the company. Even if you get the position to, if you ever get the position to sell, the system and the back office is what's going. Yes, it's what's going to close the deal. Terrence, you're not lying. That's why you got to have that structure in place. Because here's the thing, you should be building your company with that thought, right? That should be like your exit plan. Okay. So yes, Angelica, I tuned into your live just a little bit. um, or I watched the replay. So that should be a part of your exit plan, right? You should want to eventually be able to step away from your business, from what you have grown, what you have created, what you have nurtured. And so a part of doing that is making sure that you are structured in a manner where you can just say, here, all you got to do is step into it. I already did the hard work, right? Here you go. So definitely make sure that you have those SOPs. A failure, like I said, because I didn't have that growth plan. And then after I realized my failures and I did things to change those failures. So like I said, pricing was a struggle. So I put together a pricing module. SOPs was a struggle. So I put together SOPs, right, to help replicate mini Samaras. Okay. And so with that, I was able to bring on help. And so got back a little bit of time management. And then I was like, okay, I'm learning, right? I'm using my wisdom compass. I'm redirecting myself. I'm learning from my failures. But then there were also some things that I was still struggling with, some setbacks, some struggles, some obstacles, right? I want to talk about those too. Because although I didn't fail at these things, they definitely hindered me from moving forward at the pace that I should have been. Does that make sense? So I'm going to unpack that for y'all. So one of my struggles was doing this. Believe it or not, I am not an extrovert. Okay, I am an introvert. And my sister Angelica always tell me, stop saying that. But I'm like, oh, that's who I am. So that means that I just get recharged from being alone, right? I am a people person. I'm learning that, right? Like I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. And I do it easily. Like I guess that's just who I am. But I was never like comfortable doing this, right? Being in front of an audience, having all these eyes staring back at me. And Regina, if Regina is still on, she can absolutely confirm this story that I'm about to share with y'all. This is a huge struggle for me, right? So I remember when I was working in the accounting firm at Caterpillar, and we had to do a presentation, and it was in front of our group, and it was maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 people. And I got so flustered, so overwhelmed, so anxious that I really believe I had an anxiety attack my heart started racing. I started sweating on our top lip. So like when I'm nervous, like I start sweating on my top lip first. So like if y'all see the lives now, y'all see a little sweat, you know I'm a little nervous. But anyways, I don't care. We all family. So I started sweating on my top lip. And then all of a sudden, like sweat just started pouring everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, my heart is racing. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack. And I blacked out for a moment, right? I didn't know what was going on. When I came to, like they had already called first responders, somebody else that came and they were like, you okay? Are you okay? I was so overwhelmed with presenting to 8 people in a room that I literally, you say yes, still here. Thank you, Gigi. I literally passed out, like I blacked out. So when my business coach told me that she wanted me to come in front of potentially, 10 or hundreds of however many people would be able to watch this on Facebook in a live setting, I was like, oh, we sure you got to do this? I tell you what, I got another option. So, y'all, let me tell you what I did. I found the app that would allow you to pre-record videos and then you can post them live, right? And so I used that app. Y'all don't judge me, okay? I had to take baby steps. So I used that app because it was such a struggle for me. Regina said, look at you now. Yes, Gigi, leaps and bounds. It was such a struggle for me that I didn't want to come before the people live. Like, I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to make a mistake. I didn't want to fail in front of y'all, right? I didn't want to stumble in front of y'all. But there's beauty in it. There's beauty in me just being authentically me. There's beauty in me just failing, stumbling, stammering over my words. There's beauty in that, right? You get empowered because you're saying if she has enough confidence to come on the live and she Angelica says, oh man, you doing it now. If she has enough confidence to come on this live and she has to think about her words, or she stumbles over a word, or she stammers a little bit, or she's sweating on her top lip, and if she can do it, then I can do it, right? It's empowering. And so when I figured out that, my failures, my setbacks, my struggles could empower someone else, then I was encouraged. I was encouraged to do it, right? And also my social media manager at the time, she was encouraging me. She wasn't pushing me, but she was encouraging me. She was like, you can do it. You can do it. And so I did it, and I really became a bit of a addict, I must say. Like, I really enjoy it. And taking this time off to like regroup and do my tax thing, it definitely was a time that I missed being in front of you guys for sure. So I enjoyed it. Angelica said she was scared too. It took me forever to pull the trigger. Angelica, I'm so glad you did. And you're like a natural. See? That's what I'm saying. Like when we face our fears, right? And we overcome those struggles, we overcome those obstacles. It's so beautiful on the other end. It's so beautiful on the other side. It's such a beautiful story too. And testament to others. Wayne Andrew says, man, there is power in showing your weakness, your struggles, and your obstacles, especially when you can overcome and show your strengths. Awesome. I feel like your failures, your weaknesses can also be your strengths. There you go. So that was a struggle for me doing these lives. Another struggle was selling. Now, I'm about to date myself. Don't y'all dare judge me in these comments. But I do want you to share with me in the comments so I can kind of date y'all too. Have y'all ever heard of a company called Bell South? Okay, so if you've heard of Bell South, just put hashtag Bell South in the comments. It's not going to go anywhere because Bell South is not even around. They were acquired by another firm, but whatever. I used to work for Bell South, right? And so when I worked for Bell South, I was in the sales department. And when I was in the sales department, y'all, somebody said, okay, Wayne says, yeah, back in 1949. Okay, very funny, Wayne. I'm not that old. So I used to work for Bell South in the long distance department, y'all. And so in the long distance department, you would get clients that would call in and they had problems. But our job was to sell the client something, right? Upgrade their long distance. Angelica heard of Bell South. Okay, thank you, sis. I'm not dating myself alone. You Regina says, turn your weakness into strength. Yes, ma'am. But you had to sell to that client, right? And so let me tell y'all how intimidating this was. So I would be on the phone talking to the customer, trying to help them with their problem. Then your supervisor would come and pull his chair up, like right by you, put on his earphones so he can hear what you're saying to the client. Because again, your job was to sell, 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 right? That was such a struggle for me. I hated it so much. I hated going to work every day. I loathe it, okay? Because I never wanted to push something on somebody. Does that make sense? That wasn't in my DNA. But it paid the bills, right? And so unfortunately, like I had to struggle and do that job until I found something that was more aligned with what I was destined to do. But definitely was a struggle, definitely an uncomfortable experience. And so when I, decided to become an entrepreneur, I quickly learned that guess what? You got to sell. You have to sell. You have to sell your service. You have to sell you. You have to sell your business. You have to sell. And so I had this negative connotation of what selling was because of my previous experience, right? Because when I went to a car dealership and you would get the car smell salesman running out, it's like they smell blood in the water. They try to cram everything down your throat, upsell you on different things. Because of that, I had this negative connotation about selling. All right. Not realizing, Regina said, what's long distance called? Girl, you a mess. Whatever. You know what it is. So I had this negative connotation about selling, not realizing that I should look at selling from a more simplistic approach, right? Not realizing that I have been essentially selling most of my career. So when you think about it, when you go on an interview, if you have worked in corporate America or worked in for a company, period, right? Like Angelica said, all right, Angelica, you're right. I'm about to prove my point exactly. We're always selling, right? You sell all the time. And this is what I had to understand. So when you go on a job interview, guess what? You're selling your skill set, you're selling your education, you're selling your experience, you're selling you, right? That's what I had to understand. Every time I went on a job interview, that's what I was doing. I was closing the deal, right? I was making the sale, right? And so that same level of confidence about the value that you bring to the table, right? About the value that you can add to a business, to an organization, to a partnership, to a collaboration. That's the approach that I had to start taking. I had to take the approach of, okay, it's not about how much revenues I need to make today. It's about how much value I need to add to a potential client today. And when you look at sales from a value perspective, man, it changes the game. I'm telling you, you won't even think about it from this negative connotation. You won't even be stressed if you didn't close a deal or not, right? Um, it will definitely be just a conversation now that you're having with the potential client, right? It's just a conversation because all you're doing is adding value, right, to whatever the client already has in existence, right? Yes, Angelica, you got to change that mindset around sales. So, that was a struggle for me. It was hard for me to change that mindset. But once I pivot, Angelica, and I changed that mindset, then I found it to be a more fluid, right? A more easy process. Interactions became easier. Interactions became more fluid. Interactions became more organic. Okay. So another struggle that I had to overcome, right, was sales. So now that y'all know all about some of my failures and my struggles, right, now I want to talk about the wins. So this is what y'all are accustomed to hearing, right, the wins. But all of this that we're talking about is definitely a part of the wisdom compass. It's definitely helping to navigate you along your journey. Okay. So the wins that I started seeing very quickly was my skill set, right? So the ability to listen, the ability to truly listen to your client, listen to your partners, listen to your associates, listen to your employees, listen, okay? And once you are truly listening, then not only are you hearing what they're saying, you're processing what they're saying, and then you are trying to figure out if there is something that you can do to add value and to make that relationship better, right? And so when you make that relationship better, guess what you're doing? You're solving a problem. That's another win. Truly and honestly, that's what we do as entrepreneurs. That's it. That's the basis of it. You solve a problem. People come to you because they have a problem that they can't personally solve or they don't want to solve. When I talk to my clients, they usually have a few pain points, and it's usually always the same, right? It's either I don't know how to do it or I don't have the time to do it, right? Either way, it's a problem, Samara, that I want you to solve, right? And so that's all they want, right? So think about it in your business. When people come to you, it's because they have a problem that they cannot solve. And so they're coming to you as the expert. So be confident in knowing that, guess what? They're already coming to you, right? So show them the value, right, that you can add, the value that you can give in order to solve their problem. And then it wouldn't be like you closing a sale. It would just be you having a conversation. And that's how you win, right? By listening, by solving problems, right? And then you got to celebrate those wins. When you win, you got to celebrate it, okay? And how I celebrate it is by just reminding myself that I'm walking in my purpose, right? I don't have to celebrate it by posting how much revenues FYE Finance made this month. I don't have to brag, hey, I closed $1 million deal or whatever. I don't have to do that. That's not how I celebrate my wins. I celebrate my wins by encouraging others. I celebrate my wins by doing this. That's how I celebrate my wins. By sharing this wisdom and this knowledge that I have gained through this journey, through using my wisdom compass, this is how I'm celebrating my wins, right? Being authentically me, right? That's another win. That's another asset, skill that you have to absolutely make sure you stay true. Be yourselves, y'all. Don't try to be anybody else. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. Totally off subject, but not really, right? Let me tell you what's going to happen. You ever heard of that term, you only get one time to make a first impression, right? So you make that first impression. And what's going to happen is that first impression that you make with whomever, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a client, whomever you made that first impression with, now you've set this standard, right? And so the expectation is going to be here. And so every single time you interact with that person, you're going to have to operate here, right? You're going to have to operate in the manner in which you first presented to them. So if you are not authentically being yourself when you first connect with that person, then eventually two things are going to happen. You're going to lose that person or as a client, right? Or that person will still route with you, but they're not going to refer anybody else to you because they already know that you were being fake. Okay. So definitely be your authentic self. Be who you are. It's exhausting to be somebody that you are not. It is so exhausting. Wayne says, today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is truer than you. That's right, Wayne. Thank you, Dr. Seuss. That is right. So be authentically you. Don't try to put on a facade or this charade to be anybody else, because it is going to be exhausting to try to keep that up. You're not going to be able to keep that up and do it successfully. You're just not. So And I'm not saying that you're not going to have good days or bad days where your energy level is, lower than others. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying though is at your core, be who you are. At my core, I am someone who genuinely likes to help people. At my core, I am someone who genuinely likes to teach. That's why it's not a burden, right? It's not a struggle for me to teach. You notice that that was not one of my things, right? I didn't like talking in public, right? But teaching was never what I considered a struggle because that's something I'm passionate about doing. So definitely be you, be authentically you, right? And celebrate those wins, right? By sharing what you have learned. Celebrate those wins by sharing your knowledge. KCS, how long did it take for you to gain from an uncomfortable experience situation? How long did it take for you to gain from an uncomfortable situation? So if I am understanding that properly, the uncomfortable situation that I talked about before about me publicly speaking in front of you all, right? It took me maybe a few months to develop the level of confidence to get in front of you every day and or every week I should say, and talk about these things. And Casey, let me tell you what the key was, right? What I learned, and I heard somebody say this before, and it's so true. When you know a thing, then it makes it that much easier for you to speak and walk someone else through that thing in a public setting. Because now you don't have to focus on what you know. You already know it. The only thing now that your focus would be on is how many eyes are staring back at me, right? But if you are the expert, if you're the subject matter expert, you have developed the skills, you have learned the experiences, you have educated yourself in that arena, then you can confidently walk into that room and you can command attention, right? Not in a cocky way, but in a way that exudes confidence, in a way that the people that you're going to be connected with, they say, you know what? She's going to be my guide for the day. And I'm going to follow her on this journey because I feel that I'm in good hands in that manner. So it takes time, Casey, but I feel like the more that you're willing to grow and learn in a certain area, the easier it gets for that situation to not become an uncomfortable situation. So hopefully that was helpful. So back to celebrating your wins, right? The way that I do it is by what I'm doing right now. I am educating, I am sharing my experiences with you, I am giving back. So that leads me to like my closeout. And I know it seems like it was fast, but it definitely just wanted to set the stage for what to expect for the rest of this month. We're going to be talking to different people. We're going to have different people on the show, and they're going to be sharing their experiences in their own right and sharing with you their wisdom journey as well and how they use their wisdom compass as well. But when you give, right? When you gain insight via experiences, when you give, gain insight via experiences, then the person that is receiving, right, is empowered because of it, right? So you are helping them gain wisdom, right? When you give, when you gain insight via your experience and you give and share what you have learned, then that person is receiving wisdom, right? They are receiving that leg up, okay? So definitely know that this is your takeaway. Give. That's how you celebrate your wins. Give, pay it forward. I know y'all have heard that term, right? Pay it forward because somebody gave to you, somebody showed you the ropes. Somebody did exactly what I'm doing right now. Somebody shared with you their failures. Somebody shared with you their setbacks. Somebody shared with you their struggles. And in doing so, you were like, oh, I'm not going down that path. No, I'm not going to do it that way. because I talked to Samara and she did it that way and it didn't work. So I'm going to go this way, right? And so in doing so, we are empowering one another, right? So that's what this month is about. Wisdom is about empowering others through our experiences, okay? So hopefully this has been helpful. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Season 2 of Flip It with Samara. You know, it's off to a great start. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, put hashtag wisdom in the chat. Didn't want to forget that it is Mother's Day coming up on Sunday. And so happy Mother's Day to all my mompreneurs out there and to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. But mompreneurs, I know the struggle. So happy Mother's Day to you. Make sure you take time out for yourselves. Oh, DMG, Dream World Media Group. They are in the building. And if y'all heard the intro, right? Y'all heard that intro? It's called Banger. Woo! DMG hooked me up with that intro song, right? Banger is fire. So thank you, Terrence, DMG. Thank you so much for putting that together for us. Y'all need to check him out. Y'all need to visit his Facebook page. Check him out because let me tell you, when I heard that intro, like I got hyped. So I don't know if y'all felt like the hypeness coming through the airways, but I got hyped. So I appreciate you, Terrence, for putting that together for us. So please definitely make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button if you are tuning into our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on podcast, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast channel. Make sure that you are visiting our website if you want to stay connected to us at www.fyefinance.com /booking if you want to book a free consultation with me. I also do 60-minute strategy calls for tax strategies. So definitely visit the website if you want to take advantage of any of those methods to connect with your girl, right? So again, it's Wisdom Month. So I encourage you all to walk in your path, walk in your journey. Use your wisdom compass. All right. So you learned something new today. Use that wisdom compass and remember to give. So thank you all for tuning in on this evening's Flip It with Samara. I want y'all to enjoy and have a blessed and wonderful Tuesday evening. And until next week, FYE Finance Family, we'll see you soon.